Here we go. Hey! Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for the most arduous segment of this YouTube channel, the monthly Why You Know Review, where I go over a series of records that I haven't done a formal review of over the past month, which usually leads to a lot of people getting pissed off, being like, Anthony, why are you reviewing this record? You idiot! I hate you! I subscribe to you! You should do what I say! Yeah! So I don't review some albums because I'm one human being. I can't review all the albums. I'm trying. Believe me, I'm trying. And if I could, I would. But I can't! So I try to address some records that I've been wanting to touch down on in brief in these Why You Know Review videos on a monthly basis. Like I said, let's just get straight into it. This new Peaches record comes long after, I guess, her initial controversy with her earliest releases, and she still comes off very sexually starved on this new record over here, but also, in a way, mature, too. I like the skeletal beats, and I like that she took a more, I guess, quieter approach with her vocals on this one. Very subdued album, even though it is very vulgar, it is very sexual. However, over the course of an entire record, I find a lot of these skeletal beats, a lot of these very quiet vocals, a little underwhelming. Sort of makes the album boring as a whole project, but at least it's interesting for a few songs. And if you sort of wanted to catch up with Peaches, to sort of see what's going on with Peaches as of late, I guess pick up this record. Kim Gordon's on a track. That's cool. I can appreciate that they wanted to do something new with this record and do something modern with this record. However, I think in the process of modernizing their sound, they also embraced every new pop cliche that there is and invited on a series of almost unbearable vocal guests on a lot of these tracks. I'm not liking this, no. If you're a big grouper fan, a big Liz Harris fan, and you would like to hear those grouper-styled vocals over some lo-fi, twee-ish, Slumberland-style pop and rock, then check this thing out. Other than that, there's nothing really too novel or exciting about it. Last Dinosaurs. God, I hope so. I just feel like Slayer is completely out of ideas at this point. I don't understand why they're not just touring when they want to make more money. I mean, they're one of the greatest metal bands of all time. They put out some of the most significant metal records ever. Hardcore metal fans are going to come out and see them play live whether they have a new record or not. Putting out a disappointing album, in my opinion, is not really the way to go. I mean, surely it plays closer to their roots than a lot of their sort of groove and nu metal inspired albums that came out in the 2000s. However, this is some of the worst drumming I've heard on a Slayer album in a long time. It's not like they haven't recorded with Paul Bostaff before on drums. The drumming is just so plain and so hideous. The vocals are definitely raw and in your face. I can appreciate that, but the guitar riffs that are on top of these drums, just nothing really all that new or refreshing or anthemic or even memorable coming from Slayer on this record. It's okay. I think it just barely meets the bare minimum criteria for what a listenable Slayer record should be. If you want to get into some very atonal noise rock, give this thing a listen. I was pretty impressed with a lot of the initial singles to come out from this band, a lot of which ended up on an EP that precedes this album over here. But the record itself, the full-length record itself, a little underwhelmed by it, not that excited by it. It's definitely not structured very sharply. It's definitely not melodic enough to be catchy, but I don't think they're going for that. They flirt with a lot of no-wave isms on this record. The bands that seem to very obviously influence this group, a lot of which are on Rough Trade Records, are very savage, very intense, very noisy, very extreme, and I just feel like girl band doesn't push that envelope far enough if, in fact, that was what they were going for. It's not your average rock album, but it's not experimental enough to be out there or wild or exciting either. This record is kind of like listening to a very small, cute, precious cartoon rodent sing some very sad, sad songs over a series of instrumentals that have kind of an indie-tronic flair. I can't say I've ever cared for Youth Lagoon's vocals or Youth Lagoon's music before, and I don't think this new sound where the singing and the instrumentation, everything is just more upfront, brighter, is changing my mind. Still don't really care for it. Probably one of the most uninspired albums I've heard this year. All of the group's original charm and romance and songwriting ability, right out the window. Listening to this, I kind of feel like I'm being trolled, and the demented Dr. Seuss style cover art does not help. This is a side project of Mr. Dan Auerbach of the Black Keys, where he does not indulge in a lot of the blues rock that he does in the Black Keys, but instead a lot of soul and psychedelic rock, which, coming out with this album shortly after the release of the last Black Keys album, it makes sense because he was hinting towards those genres on that Black Keys record. So now that he has this side project where he can kind of indulge in that, it's not really that fantastic or exciting. It doesn't really feel like this release, that there was this just great creative energy that just needed to be put out there into the world, and he had been holding it back because maybe the Black Keys just wasn't the appropriate project for it. And now that he has this thing, he can sort of indulge in that soul, indulge in that psychedelic rock and pop. Instead of it being kind of this release of tension, of this creative tension, it just kind of sounds like a bit of a, I don't know, just some drab nostalgia. It's okay. It's okay. That Bill Gates track was hot, though. Hey, I did not see this coming. A mixtape from Chaz. And a lot of the instrumentals on this thing are pretty good. It's sort of like an interesting fusion between lo-fi, somewhat analog hip-hop music, and Chaz's usual musical style, and there are some pretty cool vocal guests on here. It does feel a little demo-ish on some tracks, and it does have that somewhat amateurish, very loose feel of a mixtape. However, I think it would be really cool to hear some of these genres and some of these elements turn up on some of Toro Y Moi's future projects. I mean, I like Chaz's pop music. I like his approach to psych pop and dance music occasionally sometimes. However, hearing him diversify in the future and just try some new things on his commercial projects could be really cool. I don't love it, but it's definitely intriguing, and it's awesome to see Chaz continue to become more versatile over time. Big Boi and Phantogram collaborating didn't sound that good to me on Big Boi's last full-length album, and hearing them string this weak, watered-down, southern hip-hop, indie-tronic fusion that is super bland into a full-length EP doesn't entertain me either. I mean, I like a lot of Big Boi's verses on this thing, but the production is just doing nothing for me a lot of the time. I don't see the hype. I don't get the excitement. I don't see what's so great about it. I mean, certainly Phantogram has fans. Big Boi has fans. They're great artists in their own right, though I admit I am not a Phantogram fan, but hearing them come together, again, it doesn't create sparks for me. It's as exciting as hearing Linkin Park and Jay-Z collaborate. And that is the Why You Know review. Thank you for watching. You're the best. Zishin, have you given a listen to any of these records? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, Why You Know Review, music forever.